Hello, and welcome to our next lecture, which is over political ideology. This is what we actually do believe. So today we're going to talk about different political ideologies, where they come from, and how they're actually done. So first of all, what is a political ideology? It's not just your beliefs about an issue, it's a coherent set of beliefs you have about all issues that you use to make judgments about all political activities. But what does coherent mean? Well, it incorporates what you believe about human nature and your personal philosophy into a worldview that you can use to interpret the actions of everyone around you. Note, this is actually a large idea. It incorporates both your morals, your ethics, your religion, your spirituality, and your work ethic. So what's the purpose of ideology? Well, ideology itself is a heuristic. A heuristic is a shortcut that you use to make decisions very quickly that allows for a decision to be made on the spot. For example, if my son comes in and he's covered head to toe in dirt in his best clothes, I can use that as a heuristic so that I know that he has done something he's probably not supposed to, and I probably need to go outside and see what the state of the yard is. And here's the kicker. If you're one of my students who's between the ages of 18 and 22, you probably can't do this yet at your age. This is something that you actually develop as you get older. Maybe that's why teens and 20-somethings don't actually vote for office regularly, is because they don't have the mental tools to actually make these decisions quickly. So what are the two main ideologies in the United States? Well, they're conservatism and liberalism. Now, conservatives are defined as a group that wants to keep or preserve traditional beliefs, values, customs, or ways of doing things. They tend to talk a lot about tradition. They believe that all change should be slow or incremental. However, two conservatives may not share the same views about all issues, because conservatives come in two flavors in the United States currently. The first one is a social conservative. Social conservatives believe in radical change from modern life back to a more basic American way of life. Even that way of life never really existed. For example, the Leave It to Beaver, mom stays home, father works. History actually shows, when you look at this, that we've had dual earner families for most of our history, and we really haven't had a time when mom has stayed home and not worked. They want to undo policies, but some of them actually want to undo all government. In many cases, they may want to refute all spending, even on items that everyone agrees should be public goods, such as roads and schools. At the same time, though, they want government involvement in moral and ethical concerns, such as gay marriage and abortion. Some would go so far as to ask for religious regulation as well, to have Christianity be considered to be the only religion in the United States. Financial conservatives are a bit different. They're traditional conservatives that want to slow change or incremental change for financial reasons. A quick changing society makes markets unstable, so instead government should create policies that increase the economy. For this reason, they believe in a strong military-industrial complex. They believe in deregulation of business to allow capital to flow faster. They believe in tax structures that encourage investing. And they believe that government should only provide minimal service and that all other services should be provided by the private sector. However, I want you to think about these two definitions. These are two different people who believe different things. They don't always agree. And this is a main weakness of the Republican Party, if they have two competing groups that don't agree with one another. Liberalism, on the other hand, is based on the teachings of Locke. It focuses on three things. One, equality of rights and access to all citizens to all forms of government protection, including civil rights, economic rights, and religious rights. Liberty. People should be free to do what they want, whenever they want, as long as it does not harm another individual. Free speech, free association, no government censorship, no regulation on morality. And then finally, income security. People have the right to a basic level of life. Government should protect this basic level and help provide for it when necessary. So, for example, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, workers' compensation, unemployment, Pell Grants, and Stanford loans. Note, lots of people fit into this category without disagreeing with each other. This is actually the strength of the Democratic Party. So who tends to believe what? Well, if we look at liberals, liberals tend to be in the following groups. They tend to be Asian Americans, African Americans, people who are Jewish, LGBTs, they have high education, they're from urban areas. Women tend to be liberal. Blue-collar workers tend to be more liberal. Environmentalists tend to be more liberal. The poor tend to be more liberal, and so do the young. On the other hand, conservatives tend to be older, small business owners, people who are wealthy, people who live in rural America, men, people who are Protestants, people who are relatively wealthy, and people who have had a military service, although this has changed a bit since the Gulf War. So what does the average voter for each party look at? Well, let's look back at the liberals. Can you find a person who fits every single one of these categories? Remember, we're looking for a female, so lesbian or transgender, African American who's Jewish, with a PhD, but who still works a blue-collar job, lives in the city, and is relatively young. I'm going to have trouble finding this in a single individual. Maybe in San Francisco. Maybe. On the other hand, can you find a person who fits every category with conservative? Tell you what, you want to meet this person? On Saturday morning, about 8 o'clock, go to Vicky's Coffee Shop in Tuscola, Texas. They'll be sitting down, drinking coffee, talking about how much rain they've had. I promise you it'll be full of old small business owners because they're all farmers. They're going to have relatively a lot of money because they have lots of assets. They're farmers, so they live in rural areas. Like I said, they're all older men. And most of them are going to be either Baptist or Church of Christ if you're going to play the odds. This is the greatest strength of the Republican Party and the greatest weakness of the Democratic Party. The Republicans know exactly who they're talking to, and so it's easy for them to motivate their voters. Whereas the Democrats are actually talking to groups, not individuals. Everything that they do has to start off as a compromise, whereas the Republicans start off with very strong policy ideas that get their individuals highly motivated to vote. So what about the other isms? Well, there's socialism. Socialism says that government should provide more than basic living means so that corporations can solely focus on profit. Communism says government should just own everything and everyone should just work for the government. Then there's anarchism. It says that government's not necessary because we're all good and we'll all do the right thing. Populism says that workers and farmers tend to get taken advantage of, so it's the responsibility of the government to make sure that they get a fair shake. Feminism says we should have equality for women. Fundamentalists say that religious institutions and dogma should be the law controlling the land. Note, with this definition, it's not just restricted to Islam. You can have Christian fundamentalists. Secularism says that religion is for the private sector and not the realm of the government. In most Muslim institutions and most Muslim governments, the real divide is between secularists and fundamentalists, not liberals and conservatives. So why does this all mean so much to us anyway? Well, it's hard to be objective about your own beliefs. After all, like I said, this is deeper than just what you think politically. It goes to your morals, your values, your work ethic. It goes to your religious beliefs. And those are very important to us because they shape how we view the world around us. For this reason, we tend to vilify people who disagree with us as individuals, and we take it as a personal attack. Keep in mind, those people who disagree with you are not evil or out to get you. They see an equally valid answer to a very complex question. And for this reason, hate should never be a part of any political discourse. Well, thank you very much for watching. This was our second video for this lecture. Have a nice night.